pressure within Labor as well from the left for stronger climate action, and also, a split of how the ministries are divvied up, because people may not know that the factions decide which MPs go into the ministry and the cabinet, and then the Prime Minister decides their portfolio.
Yeah, that's exactly right. More of that detail is going to firm up over the weekend after we see this factional meeting and caucus coming together here for the first time since the election on Friday. There's also this tricky position where there is actually at the moment an overrepresentation of members of the New South Wales right within Labor, within Cabinet. Think of those big heavy hitters: Tony Burke, Chris Bowen, Michelle Rowland, Ed Husic. I think I'm missing one more, Jason Clare. That's 5. They're overrepresented. So do they pair one of those ministries back? We know Ed Husic was stripped of a portfolio for Christina Keneally. He's apparently doesn't want to step back this time around. So watch and wait on that space. On the climate front, Anthony Albanese will, of course, face this pressure from the left wing to go harder and be bolder on climate in the wake of the victory. Labor's left-wing environmental action group, which is known as LEAN, wants to see a 2035 target of at least 70%. On that, Murray Watt, the Cabinet Minister today, though, making it clear they still don't have that advice from the Climate Change Authority. It was deferred till after the election, and only when we see that will there be an answer on the target.
Well, we haven't made any decisions about that yet, Pete. I mean, what we did well before the election was ask for advice from the Independent Climate Change Authority. Once they do, we will listen to that advice and we'll make a decision, but we haven't settled on anything at this point in time.
Just on the ministries, Trudy, it's interesting to see where this will end up. Of course, Victoria want one more seat. I'd have to think that Daniel Molino would have to be in the box seat to get that extra one and be elevated into ministry. He's a great performer. He's been in the party for quite some time. I think there's anyone deserving, it's certainly him within the party. When you look at New South Wales, I mean, Ed Husic, I don't blame him. He stood aside once for Christina Keneally. Why should he have to do it again? And when you look at the problems, if there are, I know they've got a big majority, but the one problem for the Labor Party has been energy prices over the last term. They couldn't bring themselves to admit that they broke a promise on that. They kept on saying circumstances have changed, etc., etc. But you'd have to think from a policy sense, or if they're going to want to pivot there, perhaps a personnel change in energy might be the easiest argument. Yeah, but that would be interesting to see whether Chris Bowen wants to move out of energy or whether he wants to stay, whether Anthony Albanese, as you say, wants a reset in that space. Let's watch and wait as to how this plays out. It's not always fair in terms of how these things are meted out on merit or anything like that. Ultimately, it's Anthony Albanese's call, but he's got such a bigger mandate this time around and a level of authority because of the expansion of seats within caucus now. So that will play a factor into him being able to muscle his way in to make a decision he wants, even if it does ruffle feathers within the right. Yeah, and for him to manage the left in particular, and he is of the left, but if the first port of call for the left is to call for more action on climate change, well, I think they're taking the wrong message from the electorate, don't you? Well, the thing is, I think Anthony Albanese is going to be prudent. He made it clear that he took a suite of policies to the election. And true, they didn't take a 2035 target to the election and deliberately didn't. But for him, he does not want to be seen to be going well beyond what he took. He believes was a measured, disciplined and orderly suite of policies. So I think they're going to be careful about overreach. Of course, you're going to have people from the left immediately after such a big win pushing for more action. That's the whole point of these sort of advocacy groups within Labor. Totally. But Trudy, I mean, this was not a climate change election. This was a cost of living one. And Labor had swings to it, won such a big majority because the electorate wants to see them, or believed they would do more, and believed Jim Chalmers and Anthony Albanese when they said, give us another term, we're just getting started, things are looking better. And they didn't fall into the trap this time around, Laura, in terms of a specific dollar price that power bills were going to come down by. That was probably a trap they fell into last time, stapling that to the modelling when it came to the 2030 emissions target. I'd be surprised if they put a dollar figure on it when we do eventually see the 2035 target. But as you say, the power bill issue was such a big one. Ultimately, though, the coalition was not able to weaponise it against Labor. They went backwards, even though the power prices had gone up under the incumbent. Indeed. Thanks so much, Trudy. We'll check in soon.